Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am excited because I'm going to be teaching or doing my best to teach and share one of the first things that I learned through going to the Tony Robbins seminars and events, and I'm pretty sure in all of his books and courses and audiobooks you would learn this too. And it is regarding changing your state and how to get into peak state. Now, we're not going to get too deep into it because we can really take it to an excited level, but I'm always filming last minute, so I'm always just cozy and comfy here on the couch, but I'm gonna do my best explaining. And hi, again, I am Jamie, the J in JLOVES, where I share all the things I love, because if I love it, maybe you'll love it too, and of course, sharing is caring. All right, so what is peak state, or really what is state? State is literally how we're feeling at the moment, right? How are we doing? How are we feeling? What is our current state? And it's something to, that once I started learning about these kinds of things, I really started paying attention to it. And, the state in which we are in is going to affect everything, right? It's going to affect the way we react and respond to things. Tony Robbins gives a very good example. There was some study where they, had some people in a room or something like that, and they were going to do like a social experiment. And for half of the people, they gave them iced coffee and to hold and to drink. And then for the other half, they gave them like warm coffee or warm hot chocolate or something like that. And then after that, they asked them, they did a survey, a quick survey. They asked them if they wanted to do a survey, and they, a lot of them said yes. And then for the people, and it was about a character, they like read a little story, and then they talked about the character, and it was like evenly split. Like 80% of the people who had iced coffee described the character as being cold, and 80% or something like that, I don't remember the exact details, but I'm pretty sure it was around like 80% of the people who had the warm beverage described the character as being warm. So that's just really interesting. And why that is also important is understanding, starting to recognize the states that we're in and what we can do about it, right? Because our states can also probably shift and change depending on what we're doing and how we're reacting to people or things. So here are my, I think it's 4 tips about this. So the first thing that I think we all have to do regarding this is that we have to commit to being happy. And really think about that and really know if you're doing that. Are you committed to living your life and being as joyful and as happy and every second and every moment that you can harness that? And it's not literally like, I'm gonna walk around like smiling all the time, but in what Tony refers to as positive states or beautiful states. So it's not necessarily that we're walking around with a big old cheesy grin, right? Because we do need variety, but it's more about not living in the poor states, right? The stress, the worry, the anxiety, the sadness, the fear, the anger, that we don't want to live there. We want to live in more peaceful, calm, excited, happy, positive, in flow, in work, and things like that, right? So the first one is that truly decide that you're going to commit to that you want that, you believe that you can have it. I will say that if you can go to one of the events, a Tony Robbins virtual Unleash the Power Within, which is his like signature 3 or 4 day event, ideally if they come back in person, even if you see him for a day, sometimes he does day events. I don't know if he's doing them right now, but he did a while back. That's for sure one of the easiest and fastest ways to understand this whole idea about state, because he rocks that point so hard and so fast in the beginning. He uses in his events a lot of music and dancing, and so if you've ever seen like even on his website, you'll see people like going like this and like going crazy, and it's because he'll put people in these extremely peak states. Like literally you feel like you're gonna lose your mind out of joy. It is so incredible. It is just fantastic. But he shows exactly how to do this, right? But anyhow, so I digress. Okay, so the first, commit to being happy, and trust me, what I was gonna say is that when you see that and you experience that in these events, and you know, in these events, I literally saw happiness for myself and in others on a level that I would have never ever in my life understood. So I mean, because like you're in this room with like all these people that are trying to better themselves or whatnot, and of course they take you through and teach you how to get into state and, you know, how to be grateful, and like you basically, they give you permission to celebrate life, like just celebrate love and life. And then they put on like the best music, and they turn the music, I mean they turn the lights down, and they have like fun music, and they literally, and he's like, okay, well unleash, like go, like be happy, and everyone's like, yeah. And it's so crazy. Like literally, I mean, if I've ever been to concerts or weddings or anything like that, like I would say my happiness level was like, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, that was kind of fun, that was kind of, when you go to these events or when you learn these techniques, your fun level goes like skyrocket. You just experience joy on a completely different level. And when that happens, you know, when you return back to regular life, you're never gonna go to just normal. No, you're elevated now. You've experienced joy and happiness for yourself on a whole nother level. And you know, this is how I describe it. If somebody has only eaten like bologna and cheese sandwiches like their entire life, right? Or just, you know, plain old whatever, and then they go to a buffet that has like absolutely everything in this most abundant whatever, your eyes get wide open, you get to try all these different foods, you know, like your everything is just expanded, and you're not gonna go back to just a bologna sandwich. You're like, no, I want some sushi now, I want this, I want that, you know, because you know what can be yours. And so that's what happens at these events, is that you know the joy and the excitement and the love for yourself and the world and for others, and you never come back from that. That's something that you'll always take with you. But even if you don't go to those events, I'm gonna always be trying to share as much as I can, and Tony really does tell people to please do that. He always thinks that, you know, once you learn things, you know, to please share and get people learning. And you know, ideally if they can go to the events, great too. I mean, it's not about like the money or anything for him, it's more about really just touching people's lives. Okay, so first step, commit to being happy. Yes. Second one is to recognize the feelings, especially if you have, I'm going to talk about like challenging feelings. So if you recognize that a challenging feeling is coming, somebody says something to you, or something happens, or a bad thought comes in, and you see it, you start to feel it, you can, you know, you're starting to shift. So the second one, sorry, I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes here. So the third thing to do, and the easiest thing to do, is to change your physical state as soon as something like that happens. Like I realize like how much our bodies and our mind and our hearts are really connected. And so our bodies, and what it does is can change our mental state very, very easily, you know, if we decide to. So for example, they always say this, right? If you can't smile in the mirror and be angry at the same time. And if you can, let me know, and I may get a little worried that you're like way more psycho than I thought, because most of my friends and family are psychotic. No, okay. No, but literally it's hard to do, right? And so, you know, just think about that. Like just even try to be angry while you're smiling. It's almost impossible. And the other thing is, well, I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to something else. But so what you want to do when you get that is you recognize it, and then you need to change your physical state. So you can do this a couple different ways. A lot of people, when they do the whole countdown breath, it's not really like count to 10 once, because that used to agitate me, to be honest. Like people was like, go count to 10. I'm like, count to 10. Like, you know, like I just got agitated with that. But I can understand now that I've advanced to a different level, I can take a moment and breathe. For me, what I did and what works for me when I can't just breathe, now I'm like better, so I can actually just take a moment and breathe gently and kind of let the thought pass, And, you know, but before, when I couldn't do that, one of the ways that Tony Robbins, again, shows how to change your state is by music. So getting into state, whether you're getting into peak state just because you're excited for the day, or even if somebody agitates you and pisses you off, you can literally get back into peak state by just telling yourself, no, 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 I'm gonna be happy, I'm gonna be excited, I get to love life, I get to enjoy life. Like, I don't care what that person just said, like, no, no, no. And like, you literally, I remember I was working with a particular clients, and they would it was right around me learning this type of stuff, and it was like very stressful. They were doing things that was very stressful, and it was like probably just things that they shouldn't have been asking for, but I was still stressed about it, even though I shouldn't have been, right? But I would just take a moment and go into the bathroom, like no one was in there, and I would literally like either play a song in headphones or even just think of a song, and I would be like, literally, I would move my body, shake my body, and just be like, I am good. And then the next thing I did, which is actually tip number 4, is find the gratitude in it if you can, right? I'm sure there's maybe some situations that it might be harder to find, you know, gratitude in every situation, but in that one it was easy for me to do, because even though they were doing certain things or requiring certain things, I was grateful at the time to have the job, right? Because I mean, you know, jobs can be whatever, and even though it wasn't the right job at the time and it was just sort of like an in-between thing that I was doing, I was still grateful. And I was like, okay, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're asking or whatnot, and I'm so grateful to be able to work, and that, you know, etc., and I can handle this. Like, this is not the end of the world. Like, I'll just tell them exactly what is possible, what is not possible within, you know, 1 hour, 2 hour time frame. And I got myself into a peak state where I was like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm grateful, yes, I can do it. And then when I went back out there and did whatever, I handled the situation like 1,000 times easier, better, less stressful than if I were to just be like, oh, I can't believe, you know what I mean, and then handling it that way. That's more stress on me. And remember, when you have stress, stress is really, like, they literally say it's like the #1 killer, and I firmly believe that. There's a documentary, I think it's like called Stress, the #1 killer or something like that. I'll link it below. It is absolutely one of the best documentaries that I truly, truly, truly believe in. Like, it's such a good documentary. I might watch it again tonight just because I'm talking about it right now, but it's super good. So so let me see, was that it? Okay, and then like, okay, so the first one, right? Commit to being happy, recognize the challenging feelings, get into physical state, go into the bathroom, get happy, turn some music on, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here's the thing with music. The reason why music works so well, why we love music, is because our brains cannot understand the next move, right? It's like in a constant like joy, because it's like constantly moving, right? So that's just pretty interesting, that's why it works so well. So music for sure, and then any sort of physical state. If it's like, if you can do it just by calmly breathing and then letting the bad thoughts or the sad emotions or whatever it is pass you by, and then commit to being happy, right? So if you're like, I'm sad because of X, Y, and Z, like, no, are you committed to being happy? Then you're gonna do it, you know, and then change your story, right? So if you can, change your story by being grateful for whatever that is. Let's say you're sad because the relationship didn't work out or something like that. Are you committed to being happy? Okay, all right, get into physical state, and then are you grateful for the relationship, and are you excited and grateful for what else is going to come, whether that's being a true love to yourself and just being happy and joyful, right? Whatever you thought you were gonna get out of a relationship in terms of feeling good and joy and fun, you can do that on your own. You can have that on your own. If you're committed to learning how to be so happy on your own by yourself, that's going to be the best really thing for you. And then, so 4th was grateful and gratitude. Oh, and it's true that we cannot be grateful and fearful at the same time. It's like impossible. So whenever you're thinking of anything, if you start thinking of things that you're grateful for, you can't, it ends up just washing away any of the fears that we have. Because a lot of the things when we're in our non-positive states, they usually stem from fear of losing something, fear of losing love, fear of, you know, all those kinds of things. And so when you start being grateful, then you will replace that. So like, for example, in the love situation, if it's fearful that, you know, you won't find love again, or you won't be happy without, you know, a mate or something like that, if you start thinking of like everything that you can be grateful for, and all the grateful of your family, and the love and the friends and all this stuff like that, and your pet and blah blah blah, like it's gonna wash away those other fears. Okay, and number 5, the last one, is to just repeat. Right? So Tony Robbins always says repetition is the mother of skill. So that's why a lot of times he'll say the same things over and over again, and you'll hear me say some of the same things over and over again, and that's okay, because I love hearing it over and over again, and so will you, because we need to get it. Repetition is the mother of skill. It needs to come in more and more to get it. And so when you change your states, right, at first it's gonna be really hard. Someone's gonna piss you off or do something, and you're gonna be like, oh, and then you're gonna feel like, for me, I felt so silly, like going into the bathroom and be like, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Like like at first it felt fake, phony, whatever, but you know, it would work like a little bit, like, because our brains want to get on board. Remember, our brains are like 3 or 4 year olds, where it's like, it can be tricked, right? It can be tricked into, because if we leave from the heart to our minds, our mind wants to get on board. So look, as soon as you think you're like being silly, like dancing, like after like a few seconds, you literally end up being happy, because at first you're just like, all right, I'm getting into positive state, I'm getting into positive state, yeah, and you literally just get on board. So trust me, it works. And if you keep doing that over and over and over again, it is going to become like second nature. And again, if you're not someone who is living in positive states, you know, I'm talking 80, 90% or more every single day, then you can learn this. I mean, imagine what that's gonna feel like, what that's gonna do to you and your emotions, your love for yourself, your love for the world, your love for others, if and when you start controlling your state and getting to a place where 80, 90 or more % of the time you are living in positive states, right? Because that's gonna trickle into everything. The better and happier and the more joyful you feel, the more engaging you are with others, the more they're gonna feel like they can trust you, the more that they're gonna wanna be around you, the more business, clients, schoolwork, who knows what, just starts working a whole lot better, because you're just radiating through yourself, and that's gonna come across everywhere. So it is definitely the #1 tip and thing that you would learn with Tony Robbins, and I would encourage you to try it. Like, give it a go, and look on YouTube. Just Google Tony Robbins peak state. You're gonna find so many videos about, and with him actually explaining it, so he'll explain it even better, of course, than me. And he'll even talk probably about something called priming, which is something that he does every single morning to kind of get himself into a peak state from like very beginning of the day, and that's pretty cool and pretty interesting. So yeah, so take a look at that. I think what I'm gonna do tomorrow and for the next 4 days is I'm gonna go through a book called The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but The 4 Agreements, if you haven't heard about it, it is the go-to first book that I suggest everybody read or listen to, because there's an audiobook as well, and it is fantastic. It's so simple, it's so small, it's a wisdom Toltec book, and it's literally about the 4 agreements, and I'm gonna go through them each day. So tomorrow I'll talk about the first agreement, because I do think that if somebody hasn't read it or hasn't really thought about these 4 agreements, they are the baseline that people need in order to reach a real joy factor within their lives, because it's just concepts that if you don't understand or you don't truly kind of engage with in your life, then it may be really, really hard to get into a place where you're feeling joyful, loving, and all these other things, all the positive states for 80, 90, 100% of your time. So that is all, folks. I thought it was gonna be super quick, but it was a little quick, I think, maybe. And that is all. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.